Alright, so hello everyone, welcome to today's video in which I will try and guide you and explain how to use the first-person controller rig on making weapon from scratch and animating them, or you just want to animate an existing weapon from scratch. Okay, so first thing first, you will need a blender. I'm currently using Blender 4.0 and this is the newest rig that well, not rig, but newest file that I made. You have this thing which we will cover once we set up our stuff. But yeah, so you need the Blender file. You can get it from the hub. It's in the I'll link it down below. You need a Blender plugin. This is the FBX format by Aribeiro. Again, I will link it. Optionally, you can use better FBX for like importing stuff. I haven't used it for exporting. I usually use this Aribeiro version of FBX exporter. You can probably use it, but I don't know if the better FBX is much better. Anyway, that's probably the necessary things you need to do for like properly exporting the rig and stuff. So first thing first, let's get our model into the Blender. So in this example, I'm going to be using the China Lake as our example of making the weapon from scratch, rigging it as well. Now this is going to be a multi-part video. This first video will be covering all the stuff in Blender sides. The next one will be on the Unity sides, which hopefully I will remember to make it. It won't use the China Lake. I already had an example for that. So it's going to be different, but it should be the same step for every stuff you made from scratch. Let's just organize our stuff. Beth, ammo, J, mesh. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm trying to scale it first so that it's like somewhat fits into the EFT cell. So this is going to be difficult because you need to like eyeball it, or you can just use something as a point of reference, like an attachment, a stock, a pistol grip, or maybe a bullet if the your weapon model comes with a bullet. So this should have the correct size, at least for the round and the gun itself. We don't need this because we are going to use EFT's stuff. Alright, so our weapon is scaled, and I'm just gonna move it into the position where I want it to be. A little over, or a little bit to the left. Alright, so our next step, our next step is to import a base rig. Now, a base rig, think of it as like an armature that's like what you're going to use for. So for example, we have the China Lake. It's number one, a grenade launcher, and it functions like a shotgun. So think about it. It's a pump action grenade launcher. That means we are going to use a pump action shotgun as a base rig, so that we are going to create the weapon rig on top of that base rig. So what this means is we are going to the bundle content, find any shotgun, a pump action one. It doesn't matter what it is as long as it's a pump action. In my case, it's the M870, the Mossberg. Grab that. You open this up. This is how I usually export the rig from the bundle. You just need to, like, on the scene hierarchy, only select this box on the generated one, because the generated usually is the one that you want to use. Oh wait, no, this thing has a it has two types of generated. Find which one is the prefab that's being used. The model one. Okay, so we don't want to use the dot generated because that's not being used by the weapon prefab. What we want to do is just use the model. Go. Make it clip. Everything. I don't use this one because I already made my own compass animation that I can just use freely because it's like only the left hand side. But the way BSG did it is that this thing basically takes on top of the base rig. It's based on the base rig. Anyway, let's ignore that. You might need it. You need the compass animation because of compass in the game. It is. Put it somewhere where it's easy. Let's just call it 80. And now we wait until it's finished exporting. Right, it's finished exporting. Okay, so let's add our file order, M870. Import it, FBX. Actually, no, I'm gonna use better FBX. You can use just regular FBX for this, but I prefer using better FBX because it doesn't shrink the animation frame data. But the problem is with better FBX, for some reason the armature is like rotated. Anyway. Nope, I forgot to set up. Oops. 70. Just have to wait for it to finish loading. Right, there we go. Oh, we have our base rig. Fine, it seems to be not bad. Put it to idle. I'll just hide this thing first. A bit of cleanup. Now, next I am going to duplicate this. Name it whatever, something that you can remember. I will go with weapon China Lake by 46 model. And I'll just put it there. Now, our base rig, we can use it as a point of reference when we're like trying to figure out what animation does what. But I usually just like leave it there and leave it alone, because it's just there as like a what was it again? Yeah, a point of reference. We move here. That it don't. Position is it's really bad. What I'm gonna do is take this by 90 upward. Let's do this. I don't have this. And then I'm going to remove this because we don't want this, the root bones of the armature. You want to remove that. And then, alright, so we are ready to rig our stuff. I'm going to put this into a stick view because it's much more better for me to see it. Now, usually I would like to try and match the gun position into the base rig, but you can just like do whatever you want as long as it fits. And maybe put it a bit high, a bit further, but I am going to make it a bit short. That thing is flipping. What's up? I do it with the camera. Where's it flipping? Flipping. Ah, there we go. That's a bit too close. Let's move it downwards. Move it to the left. Okay, maybe. Move it forward. Right. Left side. Right. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Yeah, so I have positioned my weapon model, and then next step is to rig it. Well, not really, but let's take a step back. So we have our weapon model or weapon rig, which is this one and this one. Let's just call it weapon rig. That's why it's much more easier. And then we have the base rig, which is the one we get from BSG. Now, in this step, I would usually do it like this. So what I would do is I usually just like make it into the rest position, or like the very idle pose. Oh yeah, I forgot everything is prepared by guidance. Yeah, so everything is in the idle pose. Just remove that, and then we have to script this. Copy transform enhance is going to be on the newer blend file, which I will upload later once this video is up. Maybe, I don't know when. I'm just gonna like select. Okay, now what we have is the outer constraint bones, which is the one that already existing in previous blend file. What you want to do is get a copy transform, point it into our control rig, which is this one. After that, copy the constraint to every single bone, and then you run it, and then you see here that some bones doesn't exist in their control counterpart, which you can just clear out. We can deal with that later. Usually it's not something to be worried about. Like the color marker, which I believe just goes into the collarbone. And then copy it then. Much more easier. We have the aim camera, the weapon root anim, which again not really important. Mod magazine. We can just deal with stuff stuff like that later down the line. We want to look at the weapon rig. What does it have? We have bolt, a bolt 2, iron sight, a loading gate, pump, a receiver, a stock, and a trigger. Now, what do we have in the rig? We have a trigger, stock, feeder, which I believe is like this one. This one. A bolt, magazine bandolier, which is just as necessary. Bandolier, blah blah blah. Barrel, shell port. Okay. Magazine, Patreon 001. What the hell is the Patreon? There should be a Patreon in weapon, unless I'm missing it. I'll just cram in that damn. Okay, anyway. Let's link that in the 00 first. Child of model and the Patreon in weapon. We're inverse because it's rotated by several degrees, not several but 90. Alright, so we are going to position our bones that we need. If there is a bone that you don't really need, then you can just toss it away. For example, we have mod mount. I think we do need a lander for this. Mod magazine bandolier, you don't need it, just delete it. Weapon bolt, we do need a weapon bolt. Mod barrel, we don't have a barrel because the idea, or at least my plan, is to merge both the barrel into the gun, which it's already is, so I just need to do barrel related stuff in the generated prefab. So we don't need that. We have a bolt. We do have 2 bolts, so I am going to check if that's going to be pulled by that. That's going to be pulled. Going to be pulled by that. Station, bolt there. Apply selected as repose. Mod barrel, let's name it. Actually, I don't think we need to do that. I'll deal with that later. That as a bolt 2. Location, bolt 2. You gotta be joking. It's you gotta be joking. I don't like that. Where's my 3D cursor? Sir, why aren't you teleporting? That's that. There we go. Position correctly where I want it. Yeah. That weapon trigger. Wait a minute, not right. Why is it going backward? That's not right. Something is not right. Shouldn't go backward unless Who are you parented to? Oh my god, that thing is far behind. Ah! Why is it so far back? You're not supposed to be there. Yeah, the weapon is not supposed to be like on the tail end of weapon root anim. It's supposed to be following the same position as the weapon root. So that's already just a weird FPX import with better FPX. Anyway. We don't need mod mount. We can just delete that. Stock, bolt, trigger. Trigger goes here. That's not what I want, for fuck's sake. I'm gonna get this hype arms, so it's much more easier to oh, let's see. We want the rotation to be around there. Yeah, that's good. Now hopefully that's the correct one. Not that one. Select it. Move that. Both. Movable feeder. Is this one? It's not in the correct position. Position. Gate. Look at transpose. Could probably make it in the middle, but eh. Mod stock. Do we need stock? We do. We definitely do need stock. Is it model? It's not modeled, so I am not gonna make a mod stock. That thing is going to be merging with the weapon prefab. That's a mod stock. Mod stock, you are gone. Teleport and patron weapon, you are going to go together. Move it a bit here. Down here. Thing that should fit, yes. Back. More back. Also, that's where the thing meet. Apply that. So once you have set up all of your bones correctly, like aim camera, which is aiming properly at the center of the other side, and then you have we don't need the more hand like that. Except this. Oh yeah, I forgot about this one. Here, where the smoke will come out when you extract the round. That's what I believe it does, but I haven't really seen it yet. Alright. Weapon bolt, teleport, bolt, Patreon, Patreon 0, mod magazine, stuff, blah blah blah. Alright, so we got everything down, at least on the our weapon model. We've got all its stuff rigged. We've got all the stuff position. Next step would be to try and pose the weapon. It's going to take a while, so I'm just probably going to speed up the process unless I have something to say in the video. Alright, quick note, I forgot to mention this, but Don't forget to position the stuff like the collarbone, this thing. I flick especially the collarbone and the upper arm to our base rig because I forgot to do that because the way the gun is positioned is it's annoying to say the least. So yeah, once you've create a duplicate of the base rig into your as your model rig, don't forget to position the control rig version of the collarbone and then the upper arm into the base rig. What I'm talking about is just this. This, this, that. Um, and for this, the right one. Here. Alright, so once you've got a position, next step is to just apply the pose for it. Make sure you select the one that has the copy transform constraint, otherwise it can be a bit funky. By that, I usually just apply it to... Actually no, I don't apply it to them. Maybe the FK bone, but I haven't used the FK bone in a while. So yeah, it's following the upper arm. Yeah. So once you've applied selected as race pose, you can just remove it and then go back into posing. Don't forget to hide the bones. Right, we are done with our posing. Although it depends on how you think if it's good or not. But oh well, it may not be good, so I'll work on that later. Okay, so once you're done with the posing, you will need to make the components in the control rig to move. So for example, we have in our weapon rig, pose mode, we have several moving components such as the loading gate or feeder, the trigger, the bolt. I don't think bolt is used, but who knows. And then the shell port. Alright, so first thing first, let's rename our mesh, the existing one, to something that's like making sense. They are named, every single one of them. Let's merge them, or not merge, but like bind them into the my grip is that good. I'm gonna have to work on that. Let's go into pose mode of our weapon rig. Select the bone. Let's just say it's the weapon trigger. So select the trigger, the mesh in the editor outlier. I don't know what it's called. Select it. select the bone you want it to bind into, Control P, bone, and then voila, it's now part of the bone, the mesh. The mesh is now part of the bone. So you need to do this for every single moving component, or for like every single part that's not a attachment, the one that's like in part of the gun itself. Although if let's say the attachment is something that's like animated, like a belt magazine or a two joint folding stock, then you will need to do much more something difficult. I will not go into that, but you can probably figure it out by just seeing how they structure the hierarchy, the prefab of the base rig. Everything. Like, for the main model, the main like the base, the main component, the main mesh, you would usually bind it into the weapon bone. There's the weapon receiver, perhaps the stock. Since pump, let's bind the pump into the bolt. I don't think it's a good idea, but who cares? I'll redo everything later. This is just an example. Iron sight. What does this thing go? Yeah, damn. Have the selected into the weapon model. Duplicate that. Nope, but it's not duplicate that. Name it site axis. Because I have another plan for this, which is to make it so that it's animated and so that it can like some sort of aim upward. Snap this into cursor. Okay, I think everything is I'm gonna do this, which is very destructive. Remember, be careful if you have something you don't want to be applied to. Just roll back, Control Z, double tap, Control Z, triple tap, whatever. Just make sure it's back to before you apply it. Yeah. And then we just need to bind this. Wait, damn. This, and then we have the that, and then we do it like this. Will that be fine? Hopefully it is. Let's adjust. Bone. Back. Go back. Get transform. Go back here. That, and then that. That's it. That's 590. And then we just need to move this upward or something. Yep. So it's working. Hopefully, I don't know. It may be good, it may be not. Yes, so we have rigged our model or mesh into our main model weapon rig. So just like there you go, just to make sure it's moving and whatnot. Up next is creating the moving components in our control rig. It's going to take a while, so let's use it as a reference. Pose mode. Double check something just to make sure. All right, so let's remember what moving component do we have. We have trigger, we have feeding gate, we have the bolt, and the small bolt, we have the Patreon, and then the shell port. In total, we have around 5 moving components. The way we do that is just creating our moving weapon control. Like that by 90. Name it like weapon trigger pose. Let's just get this up first. That's what is this? Oh, right. I forgot to remove them. Right. Fine. That's weird. Anyway. What was that? Oh yeah, weapon trigger. Copy location. Actually, no, that's not copy location. Copy transform. That weapon trigger. Make sure the name match. Okay, it match. And we make another one. Let's call it loading gate. Make sure to have the name match with the one you're matching, because otherwise it's going to not work. Like, because we are making the moving component in control rig, we are going to bind the weapon model, weapon rig into our control rig later on. So make sure the name match, otherwise you'll just be making yourself more difficult. It's moving correctly. That thing is a bit further and will be a bit problematic, but say we'll do it later. I'm gonna deal with that later. Right, so everything should be binded. There shouldn't be any problem, at least the one that has, an existing bone in the control rig. I'm gonna show you some big magic trick. We have used the auto constrain bones as an example. I'm going to use this one, which is a lot more better because all you have to do is select the weapon rig and then the control rig, run it, bam, You just automatically bind everything. What the? Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot to. Okay. Now it's moving. And the good part is, bones that doesn't have their same side will just not get influenced with it. So, hey, easy. Right, so I forgot to position the weapon control bone. I'll deal with that later. Yeah, so that's the basic how-to on like creating this weapon in Blender, like making the base rig, and then you just start duplicating it, binding the mesh into your duplicated rig, which is model rig, I guess, and then posing it, and then making the weapon components. So all that's left is to just animate. You'll probably just figure it out on your own. Now, what if you want to make a, well, not make, but like reanimate an existing animation? It's simple. First, import your designated rig. For example, this is the MAD that we just imported. That it should be fine, hopefully. Yeah. Now it's ready. You just need to like do this. Get the copy transform, the newer one. Select your base, control rig, run, bam, zam, walaka bam. Now have it moving, and it's following you. But to make sure before you do that, before you apply this new one, just make sure you have the corresponding bones in the control rig. Otherwise, you will probably miss out on something important. Okay, so the final step of this tutorial will be exporting the weapon rig. Here's what you need to do. You will need to hide everything that's not related to your weapon rig. So make sure it's just only the armature, the model that's like binded into it, that's only visible. What's next is you select them all. And then you're going to export. Make sure to choose FBX Aribeiro. I have my own presets for this, so you need to limit to selected objects, because if you don't, it will only export everything. So you don't want to do that. You only want the rig and then the mesh. Set the scaling to FBX all. Remove leaf bones. Make sure this is unchecked. And then you will have check this. This way the hierarchy will stay the same as the one visible here. So if this is unchecked, it will create a ghost, a game object that stores all of this, basically turning the armature into the game object itself, and you don't want that. As for animation, I recommend you have a separate rig just for exporting animation. You don't want the weapon rig to export both the model and the animation, because at that point you're just going to have trouble like re-importing it back and forth, because if there's like any changes in the animation, you will need to re-import it again and again. So just have two separate rigs, one for the model and one for the animation. Now, once everything is set up correctly, just export it, name it everything you want, click export, and then you just import it to Unity. That's all for the Blender section of this guide.